Yeah, sometimes Netflix, man, has a knack of knocking out a home run. I just got done watching. I was going to watch uh, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, and I turned on Netflix to see what was trending, and I seen the Perfect Murder, and this movie is an hour and 38 minutes, and it's a documentary, and uh, I'll read the plot synopsis, but this is extremely good. This is extremely good. Uh, it goes, she was no stranger to police, routinely calling 911 on kids playing nearby. An American tragedy unfolds through body cam and interrogation room footage. And that's exactly what this is. This is all uh, shot through uh, a camera because the cops always got this body body cam on them, and they just spliced everything together and just made a document of it. And this is sad, man. This is sad. It's about this house, man. And these houses are all on the lot. And this lady was always complaining about the kids making all kind of noise and playing in the yard. But then it's a huge yard. I mean, this yard is huge. And the next place that's beside it, it's a big gap. I mean, you're talking like big gap. So the kids just look over there. You know how kids are; they want to play. So so he's playing football. Kids are loud and everything. So she constantly kept calling the police. And so they got all these phone calls, and they're constantly. I mean, they're getting to know her regularly. And then there's moms and out there, and the kids are playing and stuff, and so. The mom and obviously the lady is a white lady, and then the mother of the kids that she's well, there's all kind of moms in the neighborhood, but if you watch the film, it's got the woman that happened to be the woman that got shot and killed was a black lady, and she was the mother of these kids that was playing in this woman's yard. She kept putting up uh, no trespass signs and all that kind of stuff. And then she tried to get the other neighbor guy, which is another white guy, but he was like, I don't care. They could play in that yard. They don't have nothing to me. They're just kids. So the cops was there, and them cops was in between, well, we know kids can be kids, and we know they're not saints. And then it showed the kids, because everything's body cam. Everything's body cam. So, and it shows the black mom that got shot and killed. It shows her talking, and she was saying that, so you got to put yourself in the cop situation. The cops are looking at the little kids, and all. They're cops are smart. I gotta give these cops credit. These cops was like, well, you gotta give these kids credit, man. Most kids these days are into stuff, and they're out stealing and doing all kinds of stuff. But these kids was playing in the neighborhood, so they was actually playing football, and they was roller skating, and they were playing with the dog and all kinds of stuff. So the cops they were kind of like, man, they was like, we know the little kids ain't saints, but we know they're just little kids. At the same time, the mom is protecting her children, and she don't like her child being called. Now, obviously, there was some racial names being called, and she was calling them this and calling that. But I'm quite sure these kids weren't saints, but they were little kids. So the cops was being constantly called back, constantly called back, constantly called back. Well, then she comes out one day, and then she puts an alarm on her car. So there's a couple times where the kids would just walk by her truck, and she would sound off the alarm, and there would be nobody around the truck. She'd just do it. She was just a bitter old lady, from what I'm gathering. And so this goes on till that one night when the black mom goes over there and she confronts the lady because she took a pair of roller skates and she threw them at the kids. You don't really throw roller skates at somebody's kid, man. You just cannot do that. So she throws them at the kids, and then she takes her umbrella and she, waves at her like that. But this is her story against their story. So the mom goes over there, she bangs on the door. Then she took one of the kids' laptop the guy, yeah, the one her oldest son accidentally left a laptop on the grass or property, so she took it inside. So the mom went over there. She wants to get that laptop back, and she shot that woman through the door. Shot her somewhere over here. I was surprised, man. That bullet must have really been dangerous because it killed her. So, so yeah, so you get you. There was a camera. There was this white lady that lived across the street with her kids, and she would come out and smoke a cigarette and stuff, and you see her running in and out and running in and out, and then it showed her. It showed her. It showed one of the kids. Uh, the woman that got shot. One of his kids was running over, and he's like, "Call 911! Call 911!" He was breathing real heavy because his mom just got shot. And man, I'm watching this, man. I'm like, wow, man, this is crazy. And so it shows multiple body camera shots of cops getting a call, and they're all, going. Netflix needs an award for this. There's a lot of stuff Netflix needs an award for. Now I'm gonna put this out here too. I do realize Netflix is in a lot of hot water. They're in a lot of hot water for that thing with the. I didn't know that they had a thing with these little kids doing this sexy dance thing. I didn't even know that. This shows you how much I don't know. Then recently I heard that Netflix is in hot water again with Elon Musk with there was a guy he's a LGBTQ guy. He was making LGBTQ cartoons on Netflix's kids channel. So I get it. I've had Netflix forever, you guys. I've had them forever and a day. I've had them, and sometimes I don't even use them. Somebody came over to my house years ago, before Netflix was, Netflix was all by themselves, and they said I can download Netflix for you, and I said okay, and they downloaded it for me. I said, yeah, man, they got all that. At that time, they had everybody's shows on their platform before all the networks eventually started taking them off. So I get that Netflix got some issues. I get it. But they all got issues. Everybody's got issues. So anyway, I'm just putting that out there about Netflix. So I am fully aware. But man, Netflix has, in spite of all the stuff that they got on there, I don't watch any of that LGBTQ stuff, so it has no meaning, no value to me. I get on HBO Max, I watch none of that LGBTQ plus stuff on there. I get on Peacock, I never watch that LGBT stuff on there. I just don't. So I understand what the hate is about Netflix. I get it. But this is really good, and it's sad. It gets you in the feels, man, because I'm like, it does a good job of how they put this thing. I mean, they put this thing together. And I'm just telling y'all need to put this on your radar. You only got to sit through it for an hour and 38 minutes. But what was good about it is whoever did this, they did a good job of keeping you rolling right along. She didn't get arrested right away. It was sad because they were working on her, and they was trying to revive her, and they got a pulse. But then when they loaded her up on the way to the hospital, she died. So then it still got the cops. Because the cop, how stuff happens in neighborhoods. Cops are still there and they're looking at everything. And cops, they're trained a certain way. A lot of times, I'm trying to figure out how I can say this. Because I know there's some dirty cops out there. And you got a lot of good cops, but you got the dirty cops that make the whole batch look bad. I get it. You could see how they're trained. It looked like they might not know that, but even when their little conversations, they were sitting there going, they would stand outside, before she got shot and everything, because she kept calling them all the time. And it showed how the cops would interact with the kids, and they go, "We know you guys ain't little, you guys probably, the kid, they were kids," and you can see how the cops even interacted with the kids and how they was trying to, look on both sides. It's like, well, you got to understand, man, you can't be going over there. If she don't want you over there on her property, I would suggest not to go over there. So they did that, and they said you got to be careful about this and that. This is really good because it did a good job of how the cops was handling that situation, and they did a real good job of how they took their time and pieced together. Because at the end, they was like no justice for this and no justice for that, and then obviously they had black. A couple of them had Black Lives Matter. Uh, I never got into the Matter lives things because I just didn't. Uh, I just don't get into it. There was something that just disturbed me about Black Lives Matter, so that's why I didn't get into it. But they only had a couple of scenes where they had that. A couple of them had Black Lives Matter, but they was wanting some justice, man. They really was. They was wanting some justice, and I don't blame them. I got the feels watching this, and so I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, dang, this is crazy. 'Cause I'm sitting in the chair going, wow, this is crazy. I'm saying to myself, so I'm watching, and I'm like, dang, So then it shows all the people that in the neighborhood, they're all upset, and it shows this one white girl that's a mom, and they had to. She was outside yelling and screaming, "So your ass should go to jail" and stuff like that, because she was neighbors with that black woman that got shot, and she was a white woman. And so when they took her to get her stuff because she didn't get arrested, that's when stuff hit the fence. They had to make sure she didn't have no altercation with people in the neighborhood. And then, of course, the white woman that was the neighbor, she was outside, so her ass shouldn't even be over here. She should be in jail. And, the cop walked over and said, I know you're upset, but, you can't be yelling like that. She goes, yelling, you ain't got, she was upset because she wanted that woman to go to jail. So, then, so you got the body cam. This body cam is showing all this stuff, man. I'm like, dang, this ain't no made up stuff. I'm saying, I was like, dang, it's kind of sad though, man, because this really could have been prevented. But at the same time, though, uh, they had to piece that thing together. So I'm sitting there going, and then they had a cop sitting there, the lieutenant. Obviously, it made the news. So the lieutenant got in front of the camera. He goes, "Hey," he says, "I'm not gonna lie. If somebody threw something at my kids, I would be a parent. I'd be upset because I'd be like, hey, did you just throw something at my child? Because I'd be like, look, I don't mind you." Correcting my child if he's in your yard doing stuff. But dude, don't be throwing nothing at my kid. I know I would do that. I was very protective of my 3 little boys. If my daughter was around, I was being protective of her too, but she was being raised by her mom and her stepdad, which did a damn good job, by the way. But what I'm saying is that she was involved. I would have been the same way, but I was seriously protected them 3 boys of mine. And my other son that just found me, I didn't know that he existed. He searched me and found me, and then when he put 2 and 2 together, I said, whoa, you are my kid. Wow, man, look just like me too. But I was like, I'd have been the same way with him. I was a very protective father. So I get it. So you're looking at all this, man, and you're like, So, and then you're looking at them, and, it's, obviously a lot of black people in the police department on the outside thing, and they're chanting certain things. And, you feel for them because, this lady's running free. She's running free, and the other woman's dead. So, and I guess she was banging on the door pretty hard. But what killed her? Not her. What killed the white lady, and she ended up being convicted of manslaughter, and she got sentenced 25 years to prison, was the fact that the judge had to look at it, and they had to study it, so it showed the interrogation. And the interrogation was pretty slick, man, because they was asking questions, and then they come back later on, it showed the date when she walked back in, and they interrogate again. So, what they do is they interrogate you and they write everything down. Then they bring you back. And then they could bring you back a month later, and they can interrogate you again. And then you could say something, and they go, but what you said in our first interrogation was you said this. But now you're telling us this. And you say, if I say something like, well, I did not say that, they goes, no, you told us that in the first interrogation. That's how they get you. So then they was putting all the 911 calls together. When she shot the woman, but then she said she couldn't find the phone. That then she said she went to go wash her hands and stuff. This is all the stuff that's in the interrogation. I'm telling you guys, you need to watch this. But this is some impressive stuff. Netflix has a knack of making some good stuff. HBO Max has a knack of making good stuff. Paramount Plus has a knack of making good stuff. Peacock has a knack of making good stuff. MGM Plus has a knack of making good stuff. It's just that it's just by law they have to make LGBTQ stuff. It's by law my factory has to hire people like that. I work with people like that. They don't talk about it to me. I just know that that's who they are. Are they cool? Yeah. But this is what we're dealing with in today's society. You know, you can't. I just say for me, if I ran a company, I would look at like what Netflix is going through with the cartoon thing. I would have told that guy, says, you're not putting this on a child's, on our kids' cartoon thing. If I was Netflix, this is where Netflix dropped the ball. They had this thing called Cuties, which they lost a lot of subscribers off Cutie. I had no idea that went on. I just found out about Elon Musk getting upset because of this. It's on a kid's profile. This cartoon that's got two gay parents dressing the kid up as a drag or something like that, and the Transformers had one in there like that. What Netflix should do, Netflix says, if you want to make this, you need to put this on, just put a label it as a cartoon for adults and put it on the LGBTQ actual site, not a kid's site. And that's where I think Netflix dropped the ball. They also dropped the ball on that cutie thing. I seen pictures. I was like, oh shit, what the hell? Those are little kids. So I get it. You know, HBO Max, they got the LGBT label up there. So does Peacock and stuff. And then when I go see a movie anymore, I actually look and I go, I told the guy, I said, man, I went like, I said, man, I figured out how to go watch a movie now, man. And he goes, how? Because he likes movies too. And I was like, I got it, man. So what I do is I get on my phone and I go, I want to see this movie. Does it have any LGBTQ plus references in it? Does it have anything in the movie? And one time I wanted to go see a movie and I popped it in. I said, man, I popped in a LGBTQ plus thing, man. I said, just to see if it was in there because I wasn't going to go. And it didn't have it, so I wouldn't seen it. And it didn't have it in there. So now you can search that stuff before you go watch a movie. And if it's got it in there, I don't care for it. So I don't go. I'm like, okay, there it is. Boom, in black and white. I don't go. So anyway, you guys, God bless. Be safe out there. The Perfect Neighbor. This is #1 on Netflix. And like I said, I know a lot of y'all probably don't have Netflix, and I get that. And I know some of the people, I just told you the controversy that they're going through. I have Netflix. I have HBO Max. I have Peacock. And I have freaking, who else do I have? I have Shudder. And, you just got to be careful what you watch. So anyway, check this out. This is very good. God bless and we'll catch you later.